Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy. And thanks for joining us today, September 15th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. So today we celebrate, first and foremost, as the Abbot Orsini points out, Our Lady of Sorrows, right? The commemoration of the 7 sorrows of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Now this is an interesting devotion, right? Devotion to our sorrowful mother. Started to develop around the end of the 11th century, right? At first, there was an emphasis on celebrating her 5 joys and 5 sorrows, the sorrows symbolized by 5 swords. But really, we can point out a precise date where this devotion really begins, and that's August 15th, 1233. And this is when 7 nobles from Florence, who were part of the guild of merchants, desired to express their love for Mary in praises, right? So there was an image painted on the walls of one of the streets, just like it says like the other people, like I guess the men who courted women used to paint their beloved women, right? But it seemed like all of a sudden that image appeared to take life and appeared sorrowful and dressed like in mourning for the hatred that divided the city of Florence. So these young men threw down their arms, dressed themselves in mourning clothes, and began the company of Maria Addolorata, like Our Lady of Sorrows, also called the Servites, right? And so they left in penance and prayer for Mount Sanario, right? So there's related to this image, there's actually a whole bunch of apparitions and images related to Our Lady of Sorrows, right? So there was, for instance, Our Lady of Pianto, Our Lady of Tears, that took place in Rome in 1546, the Miracle of the 3 Stars in Varese in 1678, the Marian apparitions of Steinbach in 1730, Leipzig 1830, Castel Pedroso in 1888, Quito in 1604, Fatima in 1917, Quebejo in 1981, Akita in 1971, and Cuapa in 1980, all of which made explicit reference to Our Lady of Sorrows, right? We can also celebrate some documents that were published. Christi Matri was published by Pope Paul VI on September 15th, 1966, calling for special devotions during the month of October, invoking the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary for peace. Likewise, Ingruentum Malorum, which I think is the ingruentum, maybe the balm for evils, which is an encyclical of Pope Pius XII on the Rosary, given again on September 15th, 1951. They celebrate in the shrine of La Virgen del Patrocinio in el Cerro de la Bufa in Zacatecas, Our Lady of the Patronage, right? And then throughout Spain, they also celebrate Nuestra Señora de la Amargura, like of the bitterness, but bitterness in terms of sadness, right? Elsewhere also, we celebrate Notre Dame de Sanguinet in Santa Rosa du Nord in Quebec, Canada. This large statue was dedicated in 1881. They celebrate Our Lady de las Angustias, or Sorrows, in Granada, Spain. And last but not least, it's also the octave of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, right? Which we're told that it was instituted on the occasion of some disputes which arose when they were trying to elect a successor to Pope Celestine IV, right? Emperor Frederick II was getting involved. And so what did the cardinal electors do? They had recourse to Our Lady. They said that if she should give them a pope, they would add an octave to her nativity. When Innocent IV was elected, he instituted this feast in the year 1243, the first year of his pontificate. And so that's what we're celebrating today in the Marian world on the Feast of Our Lady of Sorrows, September 15th. For today's reading from True Devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary by Saint Louis de Montfort, we continue with part 1, entitled On Devotion to Our Blessed Lady in General, and with section 1, Excellence and Necessity of Devotion to Our Blessed Lady. And we continue at point 29. God the Father wishes to have children by Mary till the consummation of the world. And he has said to her these words, In Jacob inhabitat, dwell in Jacob. That is to say, make your dwelling and residence in my predestined children, figured by Jacob, and not in the reprobate children of the devil, figured by Esau. Point 30. Just as in the natural and corporal generation of children, there is a father and a mother, So in the supernatural and spiritual generation, there is a father, who is God, and a mother, who is Mary. All the true children of God, the predestined, have God for their father and Mary for their mother. He who has not Mary for his mother has not God for his father. This is the reason why the reprobate, such as heretics, schismatics, and others, who hate our Blessed Lady, or regard her with contempt and indifference, have not God for their father, however much they boast of it, simply because they have not Mary for their mother. For if they had her for their mother, they would love and honor her as a true and good child naturally loves and honors the mother who has given him life. The most infallible and indubitable sign by which we may distinguish a heretic, a man of bad doctrine, or a reprobate, from one of the predestined, is that the heretic and the reprobate have nothing but contempt and indifference for Our Lady, endeavoring by their words and examples to diminish the worship and love of her openly or hiddenly, and sometimes under specious pretexts. Alas, God the Father has not told Mary to dwell in them, for they are Esau's. And point 31. God the Son wishes to form himself, and so to speak to incarnate himself, every day by his dear mother and his members. And he has said to her, in Israel hereditare, take Israel for your inheritance. It is as if he had said, God the Father has given me for an inheritance all the nations of the earth, all the men good and bad, predestined and reprobate. The one I will lead with a rod of gold, and the others with a rod of iron. Of one I will be the father and the advocate, the just punisher of the others, and the judge of all. But as for you, my dear mother, you shall have them for your heritage and possession only the predestined, figured by Israel. And as their good mother, you shall bring them forth and maintain them. And as their sovereign, you shall conduct them, govern, and defend them.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.